Welcome to this review slash retrospective for the game Gate of Thunder. And while I give you my brief thoughts on the game, basically I'm going to let a recording I made just earlier today play in the background. It'll show the opening intro movie as well as the gameplay of me playing through it, and basically kind of get to my playthrough again a second time, and how that basically plays into my thoughts on the game. But basically, I guess we'll just jump right into it. And what did I think of the game? Well, I mean, this is an old TurboGrafx 16 game, CD-based game, actually. And as of 2024, I remember we're in a new year now, 2024, there's really no way of going about and legally purchasing this game digitally or anyway, really. The TurboGrafx 16 Mini that came out 2 or 3 years ago, I forget how many years ago it came out, it didn't even have it on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. So the only way to get this game is if you had a Wii or a Wii U and you had access to the Wii Shop channel, on the virtual Wii, on the Wii U basically. And if you had the Wii Shop channel, you could have bought Gate of Thunder there. And I did actually buy it on my Wii U, and I have it there. I'm not exactly sure if it's this version of the game that is on the Wii U or if it's an English version that may come out later. But for the most part, I mean, there's not really a lot of exposition, story or whatnot until the very end. So I have no idea what the end said as far as the ending was concerned. But knowing the way they set things up on the Wii Shop channel, chances are they probably had the Japanese version, and it was probably not translated there either, because Nintendo is known for doing that quite a bit, actually. So it's probably the exact same game. But anyway, for me, and a lot of these old retro games, I feel like the best way of playing it is via an emulator and using the Retro Achievements website to get achievements. And, it worked really well. In fact, I guess technically even when you're playing it on the Wii or the Wii U, it's still emulation, but you're just not getting any bonus for emulating it that way. So there's that. I guess buying it secondhand on the market, I don't really count that as a way of purchasing the game either, because you're just basically buying it secondhand at that point. So anyway, is this a game I think that would warrant your time or consideration? Well, if you like shooters, then yes, I think this may be a game that would definitely be worth your time. Graphically, the game is actually really good. I thought the graphics were great. It definitely compares well to pretty much any shooter that I've played here recently, so I can't fault it on that level. Difficulty, it's actually first time playing through it, I would say the first 4 stages or so weren't really that bad, but once you get to stage 5, they really take the kid gloves off at that point. Stage 5 can be very difficult, to say the least. 5, 6, and 7. But, and that's kind of what I want to get into here. So I don't know if we'll get that far into the game here, basically, with this recording. But basically, I got all the way through the first 3 stages before I had to use a continue. And then I did that fairly early into stage 4. That was kind of me being silly and stupid. But when I got to stage 5 really was one of those stages that it's just a challenge for me for whatever reason. I would say it's almost one of the most challenging stages in the game, because I almost ran out of continues trying to get through it, but I finally did get through it, and I had to use another continue at stage 6, but somehow, like some quirk of fate, I was able to play through the entire game with the amount of continues that I had, and I got through stage 7 and beat it. So I feel pretty good about that, to be honest with you. Now, granted, it was my final life, my final continue when I finally got through stage 7. But it was done. It was doable. So from that perspective, normal difficulty, I would say that this game is manageable. It wasn't one of those games where it got so frustrating. I was like, man, I'm going to have to use a save state to get through this final section of the game. The most recent shooter that I have to compare it to would be Musha. Whereas in Musha, I just basically said, okay, to heck with it. I'm going to use the save states to get through this final stage. And I want to say that this game, even though it was challenging, I guess I felt like I didn't really need to, come up with save states to get through it. I always felt like there was one more go I could get it. I felt like I was always getting really close, and it was just one more shot I could accomplish it. And pretty much that's true. I think the difficulty of the game, it's not easy. At least on normal mode, it's not easy. It is challenging, and it will challenge you, but it's I guess I feel like it's a fair challenge, I suppose is the best way of describing it. So yeah, definitely a good game. Graphically, I think it looks really good. I guess you can tell that they really took advantage of the extra power of the CD unit. Or honestly, actually, let me say that again. They may not have actually taken true advantage of the CD unit as far as the graphical power is concerned. They may have just used it for music, basically, and that may be all they used it for. I'm not entirely sure how it would compare graphically to, say, a normal TurboGrafx 16 game or a HuCard based turbo game. But it feels like they probably took advantage a little bit of the extra graphical capabilities of the CD unit. Now, they definitely took advantage of the musical aspect, but I guess this is going to be a little bit of a controversial opinion on my part. I had heard that the soundtrack to this game was supposedly phenomenal. And I want to say it's not bad. And in fact, it is good. It's actually very good. But it's not, I guess it wasn't, I had it hyped up more than what it really was, I guess is what it boils down to at the end of the day. I was expecting a really big heavy metal type soundtrack for the game, and it just doesn't really have that. So yeah, I think I just built it up, higher than what it really was in my own head, basically. So that comes out on me, to be honest with you. But the soundtrack is pretty good. Now, I will say, when you get closer to the end of the game, the last 2 levels especially, the soundtrack does start to pick up quite a bit. So from that perspective, yeah, I think the final stages, the soundtrack is actually really good. But is it as, one of the greatest soundtracks ever? I don't know if I could actually say that, to be honest with you. So it's a good soundtrack, though. I don't want to take anything away from it, make it sound like it's not a good soundtrack. It's just I had it built up in my head to be something it wasn't. So that's on me. Still good, but it's not like the greatest soundtrack ever kind of thing. So anyway, I've talked about the graphics, the sound, and the difficulty. Now the controls themselves, I actually do think the game itself controls pretty well. I guess what would be the best way of describing it? I guess the controls are, I don't know, it just controls well. It doesn't feel like you're too fast, like your ship is too fast and you have a hard time controlling it. I don't feel like that's the case. Now, actually, I did look online and it said that you can control the speed of your ship, and I never really did that because I don't think actually felt a need to do it, but I think that is a possibility that you can do, is that you can actually speed up your ship using the select button, basically. I just never took advantage of it. I thought the ship moved fine at its default speed. In fact, if it went any faster, I probably would have had a hard time controlling it. So I feel like the game, or the ship has a perfect speed right out of the gate. You're not too slow, you're not too fast. So I think that's good. The weaponry is something you definitely need to talk about when you talk about these old time shooters. And one thing I can say about this game, I feel the weaponry is actually very good. Like, there's not a huge variety of weaponry. Obviously, there's only 3 weapons that you can use, but of those 3 weapons, all of them have a use. They're all pretty good. So, I mean, the laser's good, the spread is great, and even the explosion weapon is really good. Kind of situational to a certain extent. Well, at least, you know, I only went to there's only one guide for this on GameFAQs, and I went there, and I just went there to kind of figure out what button does what before I play. But and I just kind of overread it. Said you should save the explosion for bosses. I'm like, okay, well, I followed that advice, and maybe it would have been better had I not saved the explosion weapon for bosses, because there are certain times where swapping to the explosion weapon was actually very beneficial. Sorry, got distracted there again. But yeah, I'd say all 3 of the weapons are very good. They all have a use case scenario. That they all they're all there's no bad weapons. Let's put it that way. Like, you get a lot of these other shooters, they'll have these weapons that basically there's no reason to use them because they're completely and totally outshined by something else. That's not the case here in this game. All the weaponry here, it's all good, and they may be better in certain areas or situational uses, but I mean, they're all very good, competent weapons. So that's definitely something I think that should be highlighted when you talk about this game, because it's definitely something I think is another big pro in its favor. So yeah, I guess when it comes right down to it, that's really the main focus of the game. It's fairly short, like most shooters of that time period are. It's only 7 stages, and I think you probably be able to get through this game in a couple hours, maybe a few hours, depending on how you want to play it. This morning when I played through it again, I think it took me about 50 minutes or so on a second playthrough to beat it all in one sitting. So it's not a very long game, and that like a lot of these games, definitely does impact its final score. Now, with the doing it via the RetroArch or Retro Achievements, I mean, I did use RetroArch, but using the Retro Achievements website does improve the replayability of this game. But even without that, the game itself does have some replayability in the fact that it has 3 difficulty levels. If you're a big fan of this game and this style of game, then that's definitely something you probably would be interested in considering, because I felt that normal difficulty was it was challenging. So I can only imagine what hard and devil difficulty will be like in the game, to say the least. It may be something I come back to for sure. It's a good game. I definitely think this is a really good game. I don't want to, rank it up in the 90 percentile range, because I don't think it's that good of a game. But I do believe it's something that I would say it's pretty close. So I would give it an 85% final score. It's got a lot of everything that you want in a shooter. It's very well designed. And actually, I didn't mention this, but the company behind it, was the same or they were developers that had worked on some of the Thunder Force games on the Genesis. So they had, I guess, been talent. What would you call it? Talent scouted by Hudson Soft, and they grabbed him instead. So I am not familiar with the Thunder Force games because I haven't played any of them yet. But it seems to me like, if this is fairly similar to the Thunder Force games, then I think you'll probably, if you like those, you'll probably like this as well. Oh, this is an interesting aspect now that I see this here on the screen. I felt it was very interesting from a difficulty perspective how they basically would change what enemies would attack you depending on how much or how good you were. Like if you had the satellites and you had a lot of firepower, more enemies would actually attack you at a time than if you only had, just the laser weapon and just the missile, basically. So I thought that was a very interesting addition. That may be a feature of normal difficulty only. And if you're on, say, like hard or devil mode, they may not care about your feelings and just attack you with the full complement of enemies all the time. So I don't know about that, but that was a very interesting feature to this game as well. So anyway, overall, my score I think for this game I'd say is 85. It's a competent entry for anybody who's looking at getting into the TurboGrafx library. And I've only played a handful of Turbo games, to be completely transparent there. So I'm still, experiencing the TurboGrafx library as I can. But this is definitely it's a good look for them. I think it's a good game, and it did really well. And I look forward to playing its quasi sequel in Lords of Thunder next. Well, anyway, that'll do it for this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care.